Freedom in the region, no doubt. Hello, everyone. Robert Imbriali here. We're going to have a little chat this morning, or this afternoon, this evening, wherever you happen to be watching it. It's not morning here, it's afternoon here, and it's early evening, I think, in the East Coast. So we're going to have a little coffee talk. Get your coffee. Why don't you come in closer here? We're going to have a little chat today before we get into the news. We're going to do the news, but I want to talk to you a little bit, friend to friend, because there's a lot of craziness going on out there. And I think one of the challenges we have as people who are trying to suss out the truth is there's a lot of disinformation. As you saw in that clip, I don't necessarily agree with everything she had to say, but certainly what you look at is people are angry and they're protesting, and you ask them what they're protesting about, they basically have no idea. Right? Because the information's all wrong. It's disinformation. And it's made to make you have the reaction, right? That's really what they want. They want us to react. So I want to talk a little bit about that today, because I think it's really important as we go forward in the world that we're playing in, that we really understand that they're playing this game with us. They want us to react in ways that probably are not in alignment with what our true beliefs are or what the truth is. And it's hard to find the truth in this maze of crazy that we're experiencing today. And I'm going to share some stories with you today, and you're going to see how it kind of goes back and forth, and it's really sometimes difficult to figure out what the truth really is. Now, I'm not going to talk much about Nikki Haley last night in New Hampshire. Trump won. We knew he was going to win. They tried everything, and Nikki Haley got more Democratic votes than Republican votes. I think she got something like 23% of the Republican vote. Those are the not Trumper votes. So she really didn't do very well at all, although the spread was only 11%. Still, it's just not great. But I look at that and I say, okay, why are we even having that discussion? Why are we even spending time there when it is truly nothing more than a distraction? Right? We're distracted, and they want us to be focused there, focus on this little meaningless battle. We know Trump's going to win. Nikki Haley doesn't have a prayer to carry out the nomination. It's not going to happen. The only thing they could be doing, and there's a lot of talk about this, is they could be building up her brand name, her name identity, if you will, for that time that they hope that they can get Trump off the ballot. If he's convicted of the 900 some odd crimes that he's been convicted of here, if they actually score a conviction in any of these courts, and it does not look likely that'll happen, he wouldn't be able to be on the ballot. So who's their number two? At the RNC convention, what they would do is they would then put Nikki Haley in, because that would be your second best. Now, there's a lot of talk on the other side of that happening, and we kind of figure that probably will happen if we have an election at the end of the year. Well, you got two choices, Gavin Newsom or Big Mike, also known as Michelle Obama, the alias, right? So one of those two things could happen. Now, Biden won New Hampshire last night. Did you know that? Bet you didn't know. Hadn't been in the media anywhere, but he won. Why? Because there's no competition. Democratic Party didn't put anybody else on the ballot. There was only one vote you could do, and it was for Biden, and that was it. So he won. So he wins New Hampshire. No contest, right? Then Trump, Nikki Haley may hang on through South Carolina, her own home state. She won't win there, and then she goes away. But all this is not, it's a big nothing burger. It's really not worth spending a whole lot of time and a lot of conversation. We look at it, we can see what happened, and we move on. Because what's really important here? Well, we've got a war, a multi-front war that we're faced with. So, as Patrick was talking about in yesterday's show, definitely an information war, definitely misinformation, definitely confusing information, intentionally so. Definitely, if you find the truth, you will have somebody discrediting the truther. You will have somebody saying, well, they don't know what they're talking about. Look at what we found in their background, which has nothing to do with the current situation. So we're running into a lot of that kind of thing, and we've got to be careful who we take our marching orders from and who we listen to. Don't listen to me. Don't believe everything I say. I can be wrong too, and I have been wrong. Lewis can be wrong, right? We all can be wrong. But you got to check in with yourself and look at that inner guidance that we all have, and we've been trained not to pay attention to it, but it's there. We have the ability to pay attention to it. So pay attention to that as we go forward here. Now, RFK is running not as a Democrat because, why? They wouldn't let him on the ballot, basically. They kicked him out. So he said, okay, I can't play here. I still want to play, so he's playing as an independent. We'll see where that goes. So I ask a lot of people, pretend you and I are in a coffee shop right now, and we're having a little fun, we're having a little conversation, and we're talking, man to man, man to woman, right? And we're talking about the elections, talking about the things that are going on. And, some of the things that you're seeing out there, some of the news that is being reported, some of the news that you may be believing or not believing, we have conversations about it. Now, it's unnatural because in, the world we grew up in, we don't talk politics, we don't talk religion. Two most important topics, by the way, right, to be talking about, because it really frames who you are. I'm on this side of the political aisle. Why? Because my beliefs line up with the party's beliefs. Not perfectly, certainly. Nobody's ever going to be perfect, but they're more in alignment there than they are on the other side. Religion's the same thing. My morals, my values never, line up with the religion that I follow. Whatever that religion happens to be, that's the one. And it really describes who we are. And we've got to get back to that point where we can start talking about this stuff and not be fearful about what other people will think. So I've gotten to the point, and I've said this many times, I don't hold back anymore. I talk politics with everyone. Why? Because it's an important topic. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. I'm not going to beat you up. I am not going to yell at you. I'm not going to have an argument with you. I'm going to listen, and we agree to disagree. I'm not trying to sway you onto my side, but I will ask you questions. And, normally when you start asking questions, you pretty quickly get to the point where they really don't know, like that woman who, like these people that were interviewed in this video I just played, they didn't know the answer. They were all in, protesting. They're out on the street, away from their life, doing whatever they normally do. They're on the street protesting, and they don't even know why. Start asking them questions, they have no idea. Find a lot of people on the other sides like that. They're not informed. Why? Because mainstream media is headline news, my friends. That's all it is headline news. Scare, headline, and they don't get into any of the details. They don't deconstruct anything enough for you to really figure out and understand what in the world is really going on. So I want to encourage you. You think, what can I do? Well, the first thing you can do is you can start talking to your friends again. You can start talking to your family members. And, I know it's scary. Some of your family members may disown you. Been there. Have family members that don't talk to me. Have friends who have abandoned me and unfriended me on Facebook and, won't hear from them again. And that's okay. Everyone here is a new friend. And these friendships are much better than the ones I had, honestly, because we're more aligned. We're more in alignment. And we talk about authenticity. It's like, well, how can you be authentic if you don't tell me what you believe? Your beliefs are who you are. If I don't know what you believe, how can I possibly get close to you? I can't. So a relationship by that fact alone can only be superficial. You want to go deep? You go into what a person believes, what makes them tick, what are they really about, what do they stand for? And these are the conversations I've been having, much deeper conversations and much deeper, much richer relationships. So we know it's going to get tough. Everyone, I think right now, I've never seen this before, 100% consensus that by March, the walls are going to be caving in on us. Okay, that may be the case. We're going to have to go through some tough times. Got it. Not upset about it, not fearful about it. Don't worry about it. Also, I'm prepared, right? Strong mind, strong body, keep the body healthy, keep the mind healthy, get close to your family because you're going to need them and they're going to need you. Get close to your neighbors. Find out who your neighbors are. A lot of us don't even know our neighbors, right? It's kind of the world that we grew up in. It's like we could be in a track development, right? A bunch of track homes, 6 feet from the neighbor, don't know who they are. Never talk to them. Maybe you want to change that a little bit. Maybe now would be a good time to start introducing yourself and start being, a little bit friendly with them, because there's going to come a time when you may need them. You may need them because there's no power for 3 weeks, or you may need them because you need food and there's no food, or whatever. Or there may be people showing up in your neighborhood who are not there to do good things. You may need to get together as a group and go address the problem. So now is a good time to do that. We know things are going to turn dark before we start turning the corner and go on the other side. We are getting close to the tipping point, and you could feel it. Just talk to the people around you. It's crazy. But you can certainly feel that we are getting very close to the tipping point. All right, before we get rolling today, thank you for joining us on Coffee Talk. Maybe we'll do this segment more often. Go get yourself a cup of coffee. Come join me for a little coffee talk. I'll talk like I'm from Long Island. All right. Our show today is sponsored or brought to you because of what do we have going on here? We have a little graphic that should not be here. Let's get rid of that. ScrewBigGov.com. There we are. Now you can see it. ScrewBigGov.com, Lewis's website. You want to find out what Lewis has been up to. He's got links to his interviews, links to Cages, Freedom in Action, Remember Your Oath. He's got a link to his wonderful swag and also links to his social media, which is important because you want to know where you can find them. People are asking all the time, where's Lewis? That's where you'll find him and find out what he's up to. Busy day in the news today as we jump from one set to another. Thank you guys for hanging in there and being part of today's show. Lewis will not be joining us today. He's in a space where there's no internet. So it's like he won't be able to join us, but I'll be holding down the fort for the show today, and then we'll try to get him back tomorrow. If we can't do that, then he will definitely be back with us on Monday. Got an interview coming tomorrow. I'm going to nail down our guests. We've got a couple of people in the pipeline who we're talking to, and it'll be kind of interesting. One thing I want to bring up, real important as we get started here, takebackourborder.com is really important for us. Is going to be the convoy. People are starting to talk about the convoy, which starts January 29th, which is Monday. We are the 24th today. 5 days from now, the convoy begins. Bruce Poppy will be in the convoy, and he will be leaving from Florida. And Denise Bliss Phillips, the purveyor of Grassroots Warrior Network, who we are streaming on today, she will also be there. She's going to be leaving from Virginia Beach. Believe that's where it actually starts from, the genesis of it. And it comes all the way across the country, all the way to San Ysidro, California, which is the border of Mexico and California. So I will be, I don't actually know my full role yet, but I'm going to be part of that in one way or another. So takeourborderback.com is where you want to go. You want to find out more about what's going on there. Crazy stuff today. I'm going to play a little bit of this audio. I'll put there's a 10-minute audio here. I'll put it on to the Renegade Media website because I think it's important for you to know that if you want to watch the whole thing. In fact, I will put up Renegade Media here and let you know you can find it on Telegram, Renegade Media, t.me/Renegade Media, or just look up at Renegade Media and you'll find it there. Email me, robert@renegademedia.tv. All right. This came up last night, this video that I'm going to play for you here, not with you, for you. I'll play the video for you, not with you, is from Kari Lake, and literally being offered a bribe. Now, she talked about this a few months ago. So this is a video. Apparently, this call happened a while ago, a couple of months ago, but she had talked about this, and she said people have been calling her and bribing her to suspend her campaign for senator of Arizona. Now, we know in the political world there's a lot of craziness that goes on, right? There's a lot of stuff that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There's a lot of gamesmanship. Remember, this is a power struggle. Politics is a power struggle, game I could never play because I'm not into that kind of thing at all. I don't have the ego. I don't have the temperament. I don't have, it's not a fit for me at all. I knew that many, many years ago. And when you start to see this, you start to hear these things, you go, wow, could you be one who could play in this game? And could you stand up to the pressure of it? So a little bit like if you're running a company. You got a small company, you got a great idea, the company starts to go, you work on it 2, 3, 4 years. All of a sudden it catches fire and starts to grow really fast. And you start to get a lot of market. What typically happens? Do those companies automatically become big companies? Rarely. What normally happens is the bigger companies see that and they say, wow, this company's got growth potential, and they'll buy it out. They'll pay the owners more than they could possibly imagine. Right? Remember the creators of YouTube? They created this thing in their garage, literally. And before you knew it, Google was banging on their door saying, we need it, we need it, we need it. And they gave them an exorbitant amount of money at the time for a very small website that was hosting videos. Right? It's no longer the original owners. Kind of the same thing that happens in politics. The moment you get popular and you get following, the moment people are following you and they're listening to you, you become a power source. And you can't have power sources that are not what? Not part of the cabal. Can't have that. Right? So Trump always talked about it. He said, hey, listen, I can't be bought. I'm my own man. I got my own $10 billion. can't be bought. One of the reasons they hate him so much is they can't control him. That's probably the number one reason that they're trying to derail him, because they cannot control him. He will not go under their umbrella. He will not do it. And you look at what's going on, and this is Kari Lake being, bribed. I'm going to play only a little bit of it. It's like, this is a 5-minute clip. I'll play maybe a minute and a half of it, just so you get the idea of it. And like I said, I'll put the rest of it on Renegade Media. If you haven't heard it yet, it's pretty interesting.
Control.
She hit it right there. It's about control. It's exactly what it's about. It's exactly what it's about. They can't control her. And she's following in Trump's footsteps. So I don't know, maybe you haven't been a Kari Lake fan. I like this when I see this kind of thing. It makes me happy. Somebody standing their ground rather than being, bribed by the money. Now, it goes on to say something really interesting. I thought this was kind of interesting. I'll bring this topic up as well. You see sometimes politicians, they leave politics, and where do they go? They all of a sudden take a job at a university, or they take a job at a corporation, usually at a C-suite level, right? CEO, CFO, COO, whatever, right? And they get paid a lot of money. That's a buyout. That's a bribe. Scary stuff. Playing the big game here. So it's interesting. We're going to keep an eye on this and see what else rotates out. It is interesting too that wasn't that much longer today that Mr. Dewitt here decided that he's going to resign. So he's out. He was a chairman of the GOP there in Arizona. Now he's resigned. He's out. Businessman, not apparently an unpaid position that he had there. And he's acting as if he's an innocent. He's just the messenger. Well, maybe you didn't have to deliver that message, Jeff. Just an idea here. Maybe that message wasn't one you needed to deliver. Just an idea. So he comes back, and obviously now he's going to defend himself, right? So he's putting out he put a 2-page letter out there. Statement from Chairman Jeff DeWitt. And I'm going to share just this little piece here. This is the very end of the letter. He says, I said things I regret. But I realized when hearing Lake's recording that I was set up. And we don't know. Politics is a cutthroat game. Could he be set up? It's possible. Was he? Doesn't appear to be from the recording we heard, but he could be. Who knows? I believe she orchestrated this entire situation and have control over the state party. And it's obvious from the recording that she crafted her performance responses. In other words, she's acting with the knowledge that she was recording it, intending to use this recording later to portray herself as a hero in her own story. So now he's hitting back. Nasty, right? He's hitting back and saying, oh, she orchestrated this whole thing. It's just an act. It's more theater. But he resigned anyway. If it was fake, he probably wouldn't have resigned. Anyway, this morning I was determined to fight for my position. However, a few hours ago, I received an ultimatum from Lake's team. Resign today or face the release of a new, more damaging recording. So apparently, this has happened more than once. I am truly unsure of its contents, but considering our numerous past open conversations as friends, I have decided not to take the risk. I'm resigning as Lake requested in the hope that she will honor her commitment to cease her attacks, allowing me to return to the business sector, the field I find much more logical and prefer over politics. So that's basically a CYA, right? Cover his butt here. He's trying to get in there and trying to say, hey, this was a setup. It wasn't what it sounds. But you go listen to that tape. Go listen to that audio. And you tell me what you think. I'm not buying the setup story. I'm buying that he's trying to preserve his reputation. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like he's trying to preserve his reputation so he can go back into the business sector, tail between his legs, I'm sure, at this point. Yeah. I don't know. Answer this question for me. If you're a person with morals, right, you would know right away. If somebody asked you to do something like this, wouldn't your moral compass go crazy and say, wait a minute, this is not right? Asking somebody who's running for Senate to suspend their campaign and then run again 2 years from now for governor of Arizona? Well, they wouldn't let her win the first time. She's not going to win the second time, right? Unless we fix the elections. Wouldn't your moral compass be like spinning out of control at this point and saying, I'm not doing this. I'm not playing this game? It speaks more about him than it does about her. That he's the guy who's lacking the morals, in my view. I could be wrong. I'd love to know what you guys think. But it's certainly an interesting story. It broke last night. Everyone was sharing this audio, and you probably heard it already. So I'm probably not bringing you anything fresh and new here, but it's kind of interesting to follow this story. It'll be interesting to see where it goes from here. Kari Lake not backing down. Will they ratchet up the pressure now that the DeWitt guy's out of the way? They have others. Don't worry. He's only a bit player in the whole thing. They have others. And how will they pressure her next? What will they do? Remember Brian Kemp in Georgia? Talked about him the other day. You know how they pressured him. Accident? No, probably wasn't an accident. Anyway, they have pressure points that they can use. So we will see. Have to keep an eye on it. Pray for that woman. She's standing in the breach right now for us. And she said, I'm doing this because I want my kids' future and my grandkids' future to be better than it's going in the direction it's going in right now. That's why she's doing it. So all of us have that vision. All of us, we want a better America. We want a better country. We want better situations. How many of us are willing to do what it takes? And some of us won't even step up and have a coffee with a friend and have a conversation. Come on, guys, we can do better. Look at the leaders that are out there who are doing it. They need our support. They need us doing our part. We convince one, we convince two, or we wake one up, we wake two up. If all of us did that, we double the force that we already are. It's not hard. I think we can do it. I really think we can do it. All right. Supreme Court today, you know what they said? It's illegal.
It's National Guard.
So here's the deal. What we know so far. There are more states stepping up in support of Texas. Now, I'm not finding the story I was looking for. There's a couple of stories on that, but I want to find it. More states are stepping up now and supporting Texas. Why? Because they care really what happens in Texas? Not so much. Yeah, maybe we do, maybe we don't, right? As other states. I'm talking as other states, not as me. I certainly care what happens in Texas, because what happens in Texas happens all over the country, as they're starting to find out now. Even the blue states are figuring it out. All these illegals coming up, they're not staying in Texas. They're being busted and flown all over the country. So every one of the cities is having problems. New York is in turmoil. So is Chicago. LA, we don't talk about it. But it's the same thing. All kinds of problems there with the illegals, the migrants that are coming in. So many of them. So now there's other states that are saying, hey, we got to stop this. Where do we stop it? We got to go right to the point of where it's happening, which is Texas. So they're going to get a lot of help there. Now, what's interesting is the Supreme Court ruling said the feds have a right to go in there and cut the razor wire, but they didn't say that the National Guard couldn't keep laying more razor wire. Right? They didn't stop them. There was no injunction to stop them from doing what they were doing. So they're continuing to put more of that razor wire down. It's going to get to a point that, the Border Patrol is not going to be able to cut it. There's going to be so much of it, I believe. And they're still not allowing them in to Shelby Park, which in Eagle Pass, Texas. So what do you think is going to happen? Talked about this yesterday. I think we're moving towards a time when there may be a little showdown. And this is a letter from Governor Abbott that he released today. And read you the pertinent part here. Fulfill its duty, the duties imposed by Article 4, subsection 4, has triggered Article 1, Article 10, subsection 10, Clause 3, which reserves the state the right of self-defense. For these reasons, I have already declared an invasion to invoke Texas's constitutional authority to defend and protect itself. So that was the first part. That's required in the Constitution, that a state has to declare an invasion. He's already done that. Months ago, he did that. That authority is the supreme law of the land and supersedes any federal statutes to the contrary. The Texas National Guard, the Texas Department of Public Safety, and other Texas personnel are acting on that authority, as well as state law, to secure the Texas border. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a showdown. And honestly, it gives me chills to talk about this, because You, me, all of us, we've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for the showdown to happen. I think we've got it. I think this may be the first one. Texas is not backing down. In fact, there may be other states sending their National Guard into Texas to help. So what happens? Do the feds back off? Does Border Patrol back off? Or do they get more aggressive? Do they keep trying to get more lawsuits or injunctions? It'd be interesting to see, but we now have a standoff. I don't know. I found it kind of interesting that the guy who's standing for all of us is actually in a wheelchair, Greg Abbott. He's the one standing up. How about the rest of us? Well, we've got the convoy coming. That's going to be good. There's a lot of talk now about that convoy. So it'll start to build momentum. It'll be real small when it starts, but by the time it gets here to San Diego, it should be really massive. There should be a lot of people in it. And I want you to support it any way you can, and that could just be sharing information. Take our borderback.com, share information about it, share it with your friends, your followers, your family. Watch the videos when they're live streaming. There are going to be a lot of live streams from there. Share those videos out. Be part of the solution, my friends. It's time for us to do that. And we're just looking for this catalyst. This may be one of them. This may be where the spark is. You know, the match may be struck against the box now, and we may start seeing that first flame. What do you think? Think I'm off base with this? You think I've lost my marbles? Or you think maybe there's something going on here? It's kind of interesting. I'm looking forward to, seeing something happen. You've been looking forward to seeing something happen. It's going to happen. It's got to happen. All right. Let's talk about pets now. We move from Texas to pets. I want you to go to sbgpets.com. If you have a pet and you want that pet to live longer and healthier, you owe it to yourself to give this new pet food a try. I have been blown away, literally, by what it's done for my cat, my 13, 14-year-old cat now. And, there's a different way. This mushroom that's in the food that this company sells helps with that. So the cat looks younger, acts younger. He's no more just flopping on. He jumps up on the bed, on the couch, on the windowsill. It's like he's 10 years younger all of a sudden. It's just amazing, the transformation. And Lewis has those stories with his dogs as well. So I encourage you to go over to sbgpets.com. Have a look at what they have to offer. I think you're really going to like it. Very, very affordable too. It's not high cost stuff. Sometimes you look at these things and they're overpriced. That's not the case here. All right. As we go along, you go woke, you go broke, right? Isn't that the mantra we've been talking about here for a very long time? My favorite to look at is Starbucks and watching their market share drop by $11 billion in the last year alone. That's pretty big. That's not recoverable. That's a lot of coffee at $5 a cup, right? You got to sell a lot of these little guys, to make up $11 billion in market share. They're not going to do that easily. So they're in trouble because they played the woke game and it hurt them. So here's another company that has announced layoffs. Los Angeles Times announced on Tuesday they would lay off 155 employees, a fifth of its newsroom staff. So think about that. 20% of the newsroom staff gone. According to its owner, the paper has been losing up to $40 million a year. How do you stay in business when your profit is minus $40 million a year? I don't know. The latest round of layoffs is amongst the most severe in the newspaper's 142-year history and comes after 74 newsroom staff were sacked just this past July. That was the biggest one. Los Angeles Times Guild, a trade union representing the paper's journalists, said that 94 of its members were among those let go. So they tried to get them to say, hey, can you give these employees buyouts? Can you give them golden parachutes? That kind of thing. The union was trying everything. And LA Times just said, no, we can't. Don't have the money. So they just cut them loose. There's another one falling apart. And there are no tears. There are no tears in this audience for this story. I know. In fact, what am I seeing in the chat room? Are you guys cheering this? Patriots. Oh, yeah, you guys are cheering. Cool. Well, it's us taking back the power because we have the power to vote with our... What do we have the power to vote with? I don't know if this will show up at all because it's green. It may not show up. Oh, it does. Look, money. Right? We have the power to vote with this stuff. Where we send it, who we spend it with, right? That's very powerful. We could take down a lot of these companies. We could take down Amazon if we wanted to. If we stop buying from Amazon, if all of us stop buying from Amazon, it goes nowhere. If all of us got off of Facebook, Facebook is nothing but a collection of servers and software that is useless. How do we know? Look at MySpace, right? What happened to MySpace way back when? Or Friendster, right? We had the other ones. Everyone left. Everyone left for Facebook, and those things went by the wayside. So we've got really an ace in the hole all the time. And I look for patriot companies, and I try to stay away from companies. You can't do it all the time. Certainly Amazon's one of them. It's been a little bit hard to replace. But I've replaced other companies I used to do business with all the time. There was one local food store here, grocery store, and they're extremely woke. Extremely woke. And they were masking, and they were, checking you at the door and not letting people in. And I got booted from the store twice. And it was just after that, I'm like, you know what? I can spend my money somewhere else. And I don't go back. I drive by there and I see the parking lot's half empty. I'm like, you did it to yourselves. You guys had a booming business. So we have a lot of power in that, and we've got to exercise that power more. I think all of us can. So just pay attention to the companies that are standing up for America, standing up for our beliefs. And our beliefs are not unique, right? Where our beliefs are, we want freedom. We want people to be able to express themselves in the way they need to express themselves and follow their path to happiness. Whatever that is, I don't care what it is. Whatever it is, go do it. As long as you're not stepping on my toes and hurting anybody, fine. I'm more libertarian, I guess, in that respect, where smaller government is better. We don't need them making rules of everything that we do. Because the truth of the matter is, there's so many rules on the books today, we are all breaking laws every day we don't even know exist. That's the truth. Crazy, but that's the truth. All right. More signs that we're winning and we're having an impact. If you look at this graphic, this is kind of interesting. Germany, France, Romania, Poland, Lithuania. Farmers all over Europe are taking a stand against the crippling green policies. This is from the Gateway Pundit. European farmers, as in one voice, say that the green policy and taxes are taking them to the very edge of bankruptcy in what becomes, in all practical terms, a manufactured famine. So, can't use this fertilizer, can't do this, can't do that, and the farmers are starving because they can't produce the way they normally produce. The money's not there anymore. And what they're actually saying is, for all intents and purposes, this is going to create a manufactured famine. All of us need to be paying attention here. I know the farmers are one of the most important pieces of our whole economy. Think about that salad you had yesterday. Where did that come from? Somebody had to grow that salad. It didn't grow in a lab. Not yet. But we need these. We need these people out there doing this work, and they're passionate about it. I know. I'm on a farm here. I know a lot of people are very passionate about this. So the protests have sprung up all over Europe ahead of the EU elections in June, with the agricultural workers demanding more government subsidies and protection from cheap grain abroad. So that's sort of like, they're getting cheaper grain from other countries where these restrictions aren't there, so they can't compete. So their prices go up because they can't use the fertilizers that they've always used. That means their production is less. That means their costs are still the same or higher, and they can't sell it for what the other people can sell it for. So they're being undercut. In other words, they're being squeezed out of the market, if you want to look at it that way. German farmers on the streets since December were joined shoulder to shoulder with eco-activists. Farmers say that they are fully supportive of environmentally friendly, genetically unmodified farming. But for that, they do need subsidies or at least fair prices set for their products. When the government meddles in any industry, they mess it up. Right? They do. Pricing controls and price fixing and all the rest of this kind of stuff that they think they're doing a good deal. They don't really understand the industry, and they're crushing it. And I think in this case, it's really intentional. So now that we're seeing farmers rising up all over the place, right? In the EU, you have to recognize that what happens there is just a little bit ahead of what's going to happen here. So we're going to start to see that here. The question is, when will it come? Will it come right away, or will it take a little while to get here? It's going to be a little while, I think, but it's going to come. And our farmers are going to rise up too, because they're being squeezed in the same way. They haven't pulled their fertilizer yet, right? once they do that, they're going after it because the fertilizer is their enemy number one. It is the thing that keeps them in business. It allows them to grow, a fair amount of produce in smaller plots of land, smaller fields, if you will, and get those things growing a lot faster. So if they take that away, they lose all that production, and they can't compete anymore. So it's an interesting game to watch. It is, again, our side saying, hey, enough is enough, Mr. and Mrs. Government. We're tired of you. We're tired of you meddling. Let us be. Let us run our industry the way we know to run it. And you can see the farmers are saying, we are all for ecology. We're all for not damaging the environment. We're all for all that stuff. We're all for not using genetically modified seed. We're all for not using toxic fertilizers. This is really good to hear. These guys are wholesome. They're exactly what we want them to be. And yet they're being attacked. They're being villainized. So now the manure's being dumped in 5 different countries. It's just not going to stop. It's just not going to stop. And it's a good thing. I think the truth is, for all of us, when we look at this, I think it's a good thing to see that, because we got to see the pushback, right? So Phoebe and I were talking about that this morning. She goes, where's the pushback? I say, well, look at what's happening in Texas. Texas is pushback. That's what we want to see. Look at the convoy. That's pushback, right? Look at Kari Lake exposing the dark side of politics. She didn't have to release that. She could have just said, no, I'm not going to do it. I didn't have to release that. But so many now are starting to pull back the curtain and say, look, this is how corrupt the system really is. Have a look at it. Let me show you what it's like to be in my shoes. And all of a sudden we're getting a look at it and go, wow, we knew it was corrupt, but we didn't know it was that corrupt, nor did we realize it was corrupt by our own people. Not just the people on the other side of the aisle, the Democrats, right? So now we're waking up to it and going, whoa, this is crazy. Now what are we going to do about it, right? Now we've got the information. Again, like I talked to Patrick yesterday, we got the receipts, we got the proof, we know all of this. What's the next step? Right? So this is the year of retribution. This is the year where the handcuffs start going on and the orange jumpsuits come out. I think that's where we are. I don't think there's any other direction now at this point. I think this is where we need to be. And I'm okay with that. You should be okay with that too. It's time, right? We're fed up. That's why I say I don't know about a 2024 election. Right now, we're going along as if there is going to be one. We're going to play along with that. And when it's our time to vote, we're going to go out and vote. We're going to do what we need to do. I don't know if we get there. We'll see what happens. Let's see what March looks like. SG Anon put out another file last night, file number 69, if you want to go listen to that on Rumble. He's going to be our guest. I think it's February 6th we have him scheduled for, so he's going to be on this show on February 6th. And we're going to dig in with him a little bit more on what he expects to see as we go forward. He's got some really, really deep insights in it. And it's really good. So I asked Patrick yesterday, I said, what do you see? And he's like, I really hope our legal system does the right things. I hope so too. Because if it doesn't, that leaves us in a place we don't want to be, a really darker place. We have to be the ones to step up and take the ball back in our own hands, if you will. A lot of people don't want to do that. All right. Let me put this screen up for you here. This is Debbie. And Debbie is 33 years old. She's living in Holland. 3 months ago, she started using NutraSwish to get more energy and the Neumi skin to make her skin brighter. And look what happened. Before 4 weeks, 6 weeks, she looks really good at 6 weeks. Hasn't been doing it that long, and her skin really, really lightened up. The color of my skin got more even, it got brighter, and wrinkles appeared less deep. So I'm excited for the next months to come, which result I can then share with you all, and so curious how much better I will feel on the inside. Well, tell you, it's a great product. We really love it. We do use it. Neumi Skin is the spray. It's very simple to use. You just do a couple of squirts on your face in the morning, in the afternoon, and that's all you need to do. And your skin will look better. Everyone's telling me I'm looking better. I don't know. I don't notice it because I'm looking in the mirror. I see the same guy every day. I don't see the changes. But people who haven't seen me for a while say, hey, you look younger. Are you losing weight? I'm like, that's cool to hear. Anyway, Neumi Skin is a product. It's a glutathione spray, micro nanoparticle glutathione, and it really helps with the oxidative stress. What makes your skin look bad? Oxidative stress, my friends, and it helps tighten the pores, helps lighten the skin, and a lot of ladies are saying, hey, I don't even need to wear makeup anymore. And then we have the NutraSwish, which is a glutathione that you put in your mouth, swish it around for a couple of minutes. It is absorbed under the tongue, so it goes right into the bloodstream and gets right to work, helping your liver do what it does best, which is detox from all the toxins that we are exposed to. And ladies, great news! Neumi Herms is back in stock as of this morning. They have it back in stock. So if you're looking for this product again, it is back. You can go to Neumi and get it. And it is really good for those of you who are suffering from menopause symptoms and hot flashes. A lot of ladies are reporting that if they start having a hot flash, they'll take a couple of capfuls, swish it around, and within 10 minutes, the hot flash is gone. What allows them to sleep and allows them more energy and a lot of good stuff. Helps with mood balancing, hormone balancing, lots of cool stuff. It's certainly worth giving it a try. You can go over to renegademedia.tv/energy, renegademedia.tv/energy, and you can find out more about it there. And I think you're really going to enjoy this product. There are a few products that we promote, and that is certainly one of our absolute favorites. All righty. So we're basically here. Wow. This is an interesting story. I found this a little earlier today, and there was a long video that went with it. I'm just going to play a little bit of the video. There's no audio, so don't say, hey, Rob, there's no audio. No, there is no audio to dig 450 miles of tunnels. And they're wondering, it's like, okay, so they were wondering how Hamas kept getting away, and they're here, then they're over there. Well, this vast tunnel network, and obviously you probably need a map. I didn't see any signs in there. I didn't see this way to north, this way south. I didn't see any signs in that tunnel whatsoever. I don't know. For me, I would not go down there. A little too claustrophobic, a little too tight, not much oxygen, not much in the way of lighting in there. Probably not my favorite place to be. Crazy. Well, we're going to see. I'll pay attention to that story too, because that kind of caught my eye in terms of what may be happening down there in those tunnels. It's really interesting. All right. So what's going on in the United States right now? Guess what? Funnest of times sometimes, but certainly it's where we are at the moment. All right. Let's go up to Canada, shall we? We have some Canadians in our group here. Why not? Let's talk Canada for a moment. All right, what's going on in Canada these days over here? That was that photo that you're seeing there was actually during the trucker convoy. That's what they treated these non-violent protesters, unarmed non-violent protesters. That's how they approached them. So Trudeau's Orwellian attack on Canadian truckers has been declared unconstitutional in Canada. Really? How is that even possible? How could the convoy, and it was not violent at all. In fact, it was like a big party. But they made Trudeau look really bad, so they did some things they should not have done. This is from Zero Hedge. Canada's federal court ruled on Tuesday that Prime Minister, and I use the word Prime Minister, not Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau's use of the Emergencies Act in 22 to punish protesting truckers was both unreasonable and unconstitutional. This is Judge Richard G. Mosley. He says, I have concluded that the decision to issue the proclamation does not bear the hallmarks of reasonableness, justification, transparency, and intelligibility. Big words for a little guy like me. And was not justified in relation to the relevant factual and legal constraints that were required to be taken into consideration. So, in other words, he declared, this convoy unconstitutional, had no right to do that. Didn't meet the standard at all. There was nothing about it that was unconstitutional. You have the right to protest. According to Mosley, Trudeau's regulations had violated charter rights, particularly against freedom of thought, opinion, and expression. The Emergencies Act order was also found to infringe on the right to security against unreasonable search and seizure. So what's the government response? The government plans to appeal the ruling. That's what they're going to do. They're going to appeal it. Why not? Let's just keep it going for a little bit longer. All right? I'm looking for the day, and you probably are too, looking for the day when, these governments are held accountable, where these people who did this are going to be held accountable. Not just, you shouldn't have done it. It was illegal. A little slap on the wrist. They're still in power. All of them are still in power. So the question has to be at this point, okay, What do? Can we get rid of them? Is there any way we can remove these people from power? Is there any way we can get them charged? Is there any way we can sue them? You know what I mean? You got to be asking these kind of questions now. So you're seeing it in Canada. You're seeing it in the EU. We're going to start to see it here in the United States. And I really believe by the time, let's look at May, June, that time frame. I really believe by that time we're going to start seeing a lot of pushback here. Why? Because you can feel the anger. You could feel the frustration. You can feel people are tired of the games. They're tired of being lied to. They're tired of being misled. They're tired of their news being censored, their social media being censored. I have so many friends that are on fire about this now. And it's like, where were you guys in 2020, right when this started to happen? Nobody said anything. Oh, it's just you far right people that are getting censored. It doesn't matter. Nobody cared. And now they're getting censored too. And they're going, what's going on here? Well, it's a slippery slope. Either you censor or you don't. There kind of is no gray area, right, with that. It's either, if you're in the censorship game, it's going to get more and more intense, or you just allow people to be who they're going to be. Let them say what they're going to say. And thank God we have X right now, and Elon Musk is doing the right thing and allowing that free speech. And, he is very clear on that, that he cut out the government's access to that website because they had access to it. There was what they call the Twitter fire hose. Literally, that's what they called it, where every single tweet you could get access to. And other companies were tapping into it. A lot of companies were tapping into it because they were training their artificial intelligence, and they need a lot of data to be able to do that. So they were pulling every single tweet that was posted on Twitter to do that. And so was the government. And they were scanning through it. They were saying this needs to be deleted, this needs to be deleted. And they had teams that would do that, and they didn't even have to contact Twitter because they had direct access to it. So it's illegal for the government to censor, right? And they can't even do it through a proxy, which is a social media site. Now, if the social media site did it on its own without prompting from the government, that's legal. Your website, you can do whatever you want with it. Government can't be involved. And that the fact that the government was involved starting back in 2020 or maybe even earlier than that, we don't know. To tell you something. So we got to turn that corner, guys. We got to get to that point where we're going to push back on it and say, hey, no more of this. No more of this. Okay. Really quick, I want to bring this photo up here real quick. This is my buddy Lewis, who's not here today. We miss him. Certainly he'll be back as soon as he can get an internet connection again or get in a place where there is good internet. You can get that jacket, screwbiggov.com/swag. That is an embroidered logo. It looks really good. Jacket looks really smart. It is rainproof. Kind of a fall spring jacket, not necessarily a winter jacket, but certainly really lets you show your colors and show where you stand. Screwbiggov.com/swag. You can get one for yourself. I have one. Bruce has one. Lewis has many. We love them. All right. How bad are things in California? Some would say, well, they're pretty bad. They're pretty bad. They're pretty bad. And, some of it we see, some of it we don't see. Some of it pops up in social media. Sometimes we get to see it. They try not to be, putting it out there all that much. But, some people will find it and they'll find these things and they'll post them. So this is in Oakland, California. They broke into an ATM machine, ripped it out of the wall, tied it behind their van, and drove off with a full ATM machine. Look at this. This is crazy. Well, you know what? They're not going. There's the ATM machine dragging behind the truck. What in the world is going on, people? Oh, brother. Oakland, California. Well, they're not going to put you in jail. You might as well get away with whatever you're going to get away with, right? And shoplifting is through the roof around here. And more we're seeing stores locking things up. And it's just, it's really starting to feel like a third world country. I don't know about where you are, but not fun. Not fun. I don't know if I'll be in California much more longer. But, I'm here for right now. I'm doing what I'm doing. All right, this video I came across this morning. I'm calling this The Voice of God. And this is a fellow who's talking about our government having the technology to send what sounds like voices in your head to you. And he actually goes on in this video is about 10 minutes or so long. I've got the first couple of minutes. I just want to give you a feel for it. He went on to say that they were using this technology. How far advanced is it now, 30 plus years later? Yeah, you can imagine they have a lot of things they can do to us that we have no idea about. Remain vigilant. That's what we need to do. We got to remain together. We got to stick together like glue. You guys are a big part of what we do here and the reason we do it. And thank you so much for being part of our world. Make sure to double check that you are still subscribed and following our channel. People are getting unsubscribed or unfollowed for some reason sometimes on Rumble. It does happen. Just double check that you are. Help us out with the algorithms, certainly. And if you like this, please give it a thumbs up. That thumbs up means a lot. Helps the algorithms show this video to more people. And we do appreciate you doing that. And I want to say thank you to all of our people who help us. We have so many people in the back end that help us, and they don't get enough recognition. I actually have an idea. I'm going to bring them all on one of our shows in the very near future so they can all introduce themselves to you. You can see their faces and hear their lovely voices, and know that this is not a one-man show, that it takes quite a few people to put these shows on. I was working on this particular show since 9 a.m. this morning, so it was about 6 hours before I go live, and it took most of those 6 hours to put all the pieces together and find all the little clips that I wanted to use and the photos I wanted to use, and then get them in some sort of logical order so they made sense to you. It does take a lot of work, and I want to thank everyone who helps put this show together, and thank every one of you for watching. We love all of you. You've got our backs. We've got your backs, and we will get through this. We will survive, and we'll be back tomorrow. We'll have a special interview for you tomorrow as well. Thank you so much.